What if it is real? What if it is real? Tonight, we ask a question most people are afraid to ask out loud. What if nuclear war started tonight? From the phone call in the war room to the last flickering light on Earth, this is the whole thing, minute by minute. Stay with us. It is just after 3 in the morning. Somewhere in the northern hemisphere, a phone begins to ring inside a concrete room deep underground. The man who picks it up has rehearsed for this moment his entire career. He has never wanted to take this call. He is told that satellite detection systems have confirmed what he was afraid of. Multiple launches, from land, from sea. The trajectory of every warhead is already calculated. The targets are no longer abstract. They are cities, and one of them might be his own. He is given a short window, a handful of minutes, and then he will pass the order that ends the world as we know it. Within minutes of the order, the ground opens up across 3 continents, from silos buried under the American plains, from submarines hidden beneath Arctic ice, from mobile launchers parked quietly in Russian forests. Hundreds of missiles begin to climb. They punch through the atmosphere in a column of white fire. They release their warheads. The warheads fall back toward Earth, accelerating until the air around them begins to glow. A single modern warhead is roughly 50 times the force of the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima in 1945. And there are thousands of them in the air right now. Each one is on a timer. The people below do not yet know. Most of them are asleep. The first warheads reach their targets in under 30 minutes. The sky over each city turns brighter than the sun briefly. A column of heated air rushes upward at the speed of sound, sucking in dust, cars, buildings, and people. A shock wave flattens everything within a mile or two. Then the firestorm begins. Glass becomes sand. Steel becomes vapor. Asphalt becomes a crater. A single square mile of a major city can be erased in less than a second. And there are dozens of cities, then more. Counterstrikes launch in turn. The sky lights up over Moscow, over Washington, over London, over Beijing, over every place that has ever been called a capital. Within the first hour, hundreds of millions of people are gone. The number stops being a statistic and starts being a horizon line of smoke. In the first hour, the survivors face 4 overlapping disasters: the blast, the heat, the fire, and the invisible one, the radiation. Anyone still outside within a few miles of a strike will receive a lethal dose within minutes. Anyone further out will fall ill in days, in weeks, in years. The fallout cloud drifts with the wind, contaminating water, soil, milk, the rain. And then there is the electromagnetic pulse. A high-altitude burst fries the electronics in an entire region. Cars stall, phones die, the grid collapses. Hospitals that survive the blast lose power. Water treatment stops. The systems that held civilization together simply stop working, all at once, in every country at the same time. The people who can still move begin to move. Most of them do not know where to go. The smoke from hundreds of burning cities does not stay in the troposphere. The largest fires, called super firestorms, push soot and ash high into the stratosphere, where there is no rain to wash it down. The sun begins to dim, not dramatically at first, but every day the light that reaches the surface is a little weaker. The stratosphere heats up while the ground cools down. Within weeks, average surface temperatures in the northern hemisphere have dropped by more than 10 degrees. Within a year, by as much as 20. It is now summer in the northern hemisphere, and the fields are freezing. The growing season has collapsed. Wheat, rice, corn, soy, the four crops that feed most of humanity, fail almost everywhere. The food reserves that countries have stockpiled will last a few months if they were not destroyed in the strikes themselves. Then those reserves run out. The world we built was not designed to survive this. It was designed to be efficient. 8 billion people, fed by a global supply chain that crosses oceans and runs on oil, on computers, on agreements, on trust. Every one of those has now failed in the same week. Within the first year, the global food supply is essentially gone. The countries that were not hit directly still depend on the countries that were. Famine spreads even to places that escaped the bombs. Medicine runs out, antibiotics run out, insulin runs out. A child with diabetes now has weeks. A simple cut now kills. In the cold and the dark, the survivors turn on each other, not because they are bad people, but because the alternative is to starve. The cities empty. The highways become parking lots of abandoned vehicles. The lights of the world go out, one region at a time. 10 years after the strikes, most of the northern hemisphere is still uninhabitable. The ozone layer is gone. Ultraviolet radiation scorches anything that tries to grow. Radioactive isotopes linger in the soil, in the water table, in the bones of the people who were born after the war. The survivors, the few million who remain, gather in small groups far from the old cities. They farm in valleys, in the southern hemisphere, in places that escaped the worst of the fallout. They speak the languages that survived. They remember, but only dimly, the world that came before. What was once a planet of 8 billion people is now a planet of perhaps a few 100 million. Most of the species we shared the Earth with are gone. The great libraries have burned. The satellites have fallen. The internet is a story for the grandchildren. And so, what was it exactly that we lost? Not the buildings. We could rebuild the buildings. Not the roads, not the cars, not the servers. We could rebuild all of that in a generation, given time. What we lost was the agreement. The quiet, absurd, almost unbelievable agreement that held since 1945 that the leaders of the great powers would not push the button, that the weapons would sit in their silos, in their submarines, in their hardened bunkers, and that they would never be used. We held that agreement for nearly 80 years. Most days, we forgot it was even there. Tonight, in this scenario, it broke. 8 billion lives, 200,000 years of human evolution. The art, the music, the math, the love letters, the libraries, the languages, the recipes, all of it balanced on a knife edge that we agreed to keep steady every single day, without anyone really watching. What if it is real? What if it had already happened and we just had not noticed yet? We will be back tomorrow. New question, new answer. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you do not miss what comes next.